Hello, delegates. Welcome to the United Nations Social, Humanitarian and Cultural Committee webinar for the second virtual EA-MUNC International Conference 2021. My name is Jay Bhagat, and I will be serving as the president of SOCHUM for this conference. During the course of this webinar, you'll be briefed on committee procedures, position papers, and the process of resolution making. We'll also introduce the topic at hand that is scheduled to be discussed during the committee sessions.
Hey delegates, I'm Alisha Amjad and I will be serving as the Vice President of SOCHUM for the second virtual EMU Conference 2021. As Vice President of this committee, it is my honor to welcome you all to a memorable conference. I will be assisting the Bureau and the President of the committee in ensuring that every procedure and agenda flows peacefully and the delegates do not digress from topics.
Hi delegates, I'm Drishti Joshi and I will be serving as the rapporteur of the SOCHUM for the Virtual Conference 2021. I hope you're able to have a memorable conference. I will be aiding in the digital flow and ensuring a smooth flow of committee proceedings.
Okay, delegates, let's talk about what you're supposed to do prior to the conference before going into committee specifics, that is your research and position papers. The background guide is a good place to start your research. However, it is imperative to understand that it alone is in no way sufficient in order to produce fruitful discussions while in session. I recommend that all delegates look into past actions of respective allocations, policies, needs, and wants of your allocations and any national or international organizations with regard to the given topics and thoroughly analyze its advantages and loopholes. This is sure to give you an upper hand in the resolution-making process. Delegates, this would help you relate to your respective allocated positions and will make you come up with ideas for development. This is also an alternative preparation strategy for delegates who are finding it difficult to access the required information of your own delegation. This was all with regard to your substantive preparation, but your functional preparation is also equally important for the smooth flow of committee procedures. I urge you all to thoroughly study the rules of procedure. You will be briefed on the same before the beginning of the committee session, and if you're still not clear, do feel free to approach us and we will explain it to you. After you have done your basic research and reading about your topic and allocated positions, you can move to writing your position paper.
A position paper essentially explains your opinion on the issue. Writing a position paper will help you organize your ideas so that you can share the views of your appointed position with the rest of the committee. It is broadly divided into three parts: your introduction, your stand, and possible suggestions. Your introductory paragraph must contain a general overview of the issue on an international stand. The aspect of the issue that affects your state the most can also be a part of your introduction. In the next part of your position paper, you have to explain your allocated position stance on the issue and a few existing policies. This paragraph deals with the present situation with regard to this issue and past actions taken. Keep in mind that this section of your position paper will be exclusive to your country. The third and final part of your position paper deals with possible solutions to the issue at hand. This will be the most important part of your position paper as it showcases your ideas and opinions, what you feel is the best course of action. In EMUNC, we are more focused on arriving at a consensual solution on cutthroat debate. Hence, this is a part of your position paper that will probably help you out the most during your conference. Your position paper must be about a page long. You can take it to 1.5 pages, including bibliography, but try not exceeding that as it will cause a lot of inconvenience for the Bureau. You can use font Times New Roman and font size 12. Please note that your position paper should be minimum 3 paragraphs. At the end of your position paper, you need to mention your bibliography, which is the names of the sites or the links you have visited in order to write your paper, essentially your source of information. The Bureau suggests that the delegates prevent their research based on unrecognized resources. Remember that it is extremely important to include all the sites that you've used in your bibliography. Please note that direct plagiarism is strictly forbidden and will not be tolerated.
Coming to the committee sessions, the United Nations General Assembly Third Committee, or SOCHUM, is one of the 6 main committees at the General Assembly of the United Nations. It deals with human rights, humanitarian affairs, and social matters. The committee also discusses questions relating to the advancement of women, the protection of children, indigenous issues, the treatment of refugees, the promotion of fundamental freedoms through elimination of racism and racial discrimination, and the right to self-determination. The committee also addresses important social development questions such as issues related to youth, family, aging, persons with disabilities, crime prevention, criminal justice, and international drug control.
The conference will begin with opening statements drafted by individual delegates. They can add their representative party and state on the speaker's list. In their opening statements, the delegates must clearly explain their stand on the agenda at hand. Each member of the General Assembly will have a representative speaking about issues concerning their country. This is an important opportunity for the member states to opine on international issues of their concern. The order of speakers is given first to member states, then observer states, and supranational bodies. Speakers will be put on the list in order of the request.
Following the opening statement, the discussion on the draft convention will be conducted. Here, only the non-sponsors are allowed to speak. The draft convention will be a resolution drafted by the Bureau members that will be riddled with errors. It is the delegates' duty to find faults and make amendments to this draft resolution. Each amendment will either be agreed upon by consensus or by voting. Rules on voting. Voting is a procedure traditionally followed in SOCHUM. When there is a discrepancy between two or more delegates or parties on a certain paragraph or amendment which cannot be resolved via consensus, voting can be conducted. If there are an equal number of delegates in each party, voting is quite simple. Each amendment is passed via a majority of at least 51%. If an equal number of delegates are in each party, the vice chairperson can declare the stance of their party on the vote.
If an equal number of delegates is not present in each party, then a weighted system of voting is required and will be calculated by the chair. Finally, after the draft has been debated upon and discussed thoroughly, the SOCHUM will adopt the draft for which a vote is necessarily conducted. Here, a majority of 2/3 is essential for the convention to pass. Following the adoption, the delegates in the parties can explain their votes and why they voted for or against a particular amendment.
Each session begins with a roll call, wherein which the Bureau member will call out the names of member states in alphabetical order. Delegates are expected to say present or present when voting when the country has been called out. The roll call is the first thing you do in the committee. It is very important to be on time for roll calls. It helps set a majority for the committee that is the majority of votes required to pass anything in the committee. It also shows how punctual and organized you are. In case the delegate arrives after the roll call, he or she is expected to send a note to the chair confirming their presence. After the initial roll call has been taken, the opening statement will be opened up. In the opening statement, the delegates are supposed to give a speech about the description of the appointed position stance on the issues that are to be discussed in your committee. The opening statement is the moment the whole committee gets to know about your research and your country's stance on the topic. Think of it as your first impression. Your position paper provides the basic information to include in your speech. The speech time will be pre-decided by us, but I advise you to keep it between 45 and 60 seconds. Should you exceed the time limit, we may have to cut short your speech so as to ensure that every speaker on the list gets a chance to voice their opinion. Make sure you take the chance. Use the raise hand feature and let us recognize you. This is your chance to speak, to make your voice be heard. This is the time for you to start making those speeches, defending your country, protecting your position's sovereignty, giving suggestions, showing the amount of research you've done. Try to stay attentive at all times during committee sessions. It'll be great to find out the different views and each country's stance on the topic. Facts added during the opening statement can be very helpful for your formal, informal, and informal, resolution writing, and lobbying. Each delegate would be getting a privilege of asking one question from any delegate during the opening statements. For this, I suggest you all to have a thorough research on your allocations, but not limited to it.
The topic of this committee is medical access in low-income and low-resource countries, which is a topic that is affecting the present generation both physically and mentally. The lack of knowledge, medical practitioners, and resources all contribute to a shortage of accessible healthcare in developing nations. In such cases, members of the community do not have the education to stop preventable and medical practitioners don't have the knowledge to treat diseases after people become ill. Studies have shown that in Papua New Guinea and Pakistan, less than half of the health workers were able to correctly diagnose and treat malaria and viral diarrhea, respectively. When the medical practitioners in developing nations are well educated and effective in their field, they often tend to migrate to wealthier countries where the wages and working environment are better. This phenomenon is sometimes called brain drain. According to the 2004 Bulletin of the World Health Organization, nursing vacancies in Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom led to a considerable increase in the number of nurses leaving the Philippines and some African countries. A lack of resources can make it difficult for people in developing nations to access healthcare. Resources can range from money to tools to infrastructure. Even the most knowledgeable available healthcare providers are limited without proper equipment and medication and a clean shelter in which to work. Only through experimentation and evaluation will we learn what works in raising healthcare utilization, particularly among the poor in the developing world. Delegates, research well on this topic and please do take the current coronavirus pandemic into consideration.
Delegates, for this virtual conference, a certain code of conduct is expected to be followed by you. Your video should be on and mics should be muted unless you are called upon to speak. Please do not take part in any unparliamentary actions. As this is online, we cannot supervise with whom you talk to and how you talk to them. Do not disrespect your fellow delegates in the name of competition. Remember, we are all here to have fun and an educational experience. Finally, we encourage you to pursue these topics enthusiastically. Do your research wholeheartedly. We're looking forward to hearing your new and creative ideas. Do not hesitate to give your opinion on anything being discussed. Be confident and be ready to be actively engaged in the committee discussions. Be patient with your research and take time to prepare your position papers. Like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Also, in case of any queries, do feel free to contact any of us as we are here to help you. Good luck to all of you. We sincerely hope that you have a memorable and, more importantly, educational conference. We're looking forward to meeting you all soon.